Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We are going to be looking at 5 strategies to drive traffic for your economic development website. My name is Elisa Sklar. I am the VP of Marketing with GIS Planning. I appreciate you all taking time out of your busy days. We're going to have a fast-paced 30 minutes. There will be time for questions at the end. So this remains one of the most popular webinars that we do here in our ongoing series of content of interest to economic developers. We're going to be looking at how do you get the right people to your website. You've probably put a lot of time, thought, investment, energy, expertise into building a fantastic website. But unless you actually get people to go and see it, that doesn't accomplish very much. So that's what we're going to be looking at, is those kind of push and pull strategies. So some of the things that we're going to be talking about today is, first of all, understanding web traffic, learning how to measure it and know what you're looking at. We're going to be talking about the art and science of link placement. This is something about which I am, oddly enough, quite passionate. I spend a lot of time with our clients working with them to get the most value out of their interactive data tools and the content on their website, and so much of that comes down to link placement. We're going to talk about harnessing the power of images and video and finding killer content so that you can drive more people back to the website. That's so critical. We're going to look at connecting with the specific stakeholders that are of interest to you. So you've identified who you want to speak to and who you want on your website. Then we're going to think about what each one of those is actually going to be looking for, what their journey will look like. Then we'll talk a little bit about building rapport with local journalists, other kinds of community stakeholders, because they, of course, carry a lot of power and that they can drive people to come and visit your organizational website. We'll look at free listings. We'll talk about turning stakeholders into ambassadors and promoting the idea of open data. So if you have regularly updated data on your website, this is something that everyone in your community should know about, because each one of them potentially is an ambassador. You never know who they're going to be talking to, standing, at the next PTA meeting or Little League or, the golf club, or even in line at the grocery store. Anyone who knows about where to source the important data about your community is potentially a link in helping to drive more investment your way, supporting businesses, creating jobs. Okay, so with that overview, let's start off by talking about understanding web traffic. Now, I will say to you that I'm often quite surprised at how few economic developers themselves ever pay attention to or log into the website analytics for their organization. A lot of us seem to think that other people are taking care of this, but this actually matters to you too. You should ask to see the Google Analytics for your website, and you should be looking at specific things when you get on there. So for example, you want to know where the traffic is coming from. Sometimes I'll have a client say to me, I feel like we're not getting as much traffic as we should be. Okay, that's a really valid concern. Let's go back and look, where are you getting that traffic from? What are the sources driving it to you? And when we go into the acquisition panel on Google Analytics, often there's nothing there. There's no social media, there are no email campaigns, there are no links on other community or regional or government websites that are driving things there. And that's really a concern. So you want to ask, where do you want to be getting most of your traffic from? Where do you think you should be getting most of your traffic from? And then go into your analytics and look. And if you aren't, then we need to rethink link placement. We need to rethink those marketing strategies, because they're obviously not doing their jobs. You want to look at the difference between new and returning visitors. Returning visitors are important, especially when they're realtors or anchor businesses or other kinds, elected officials, for example. But you also want to think about attracting new all the time, new potential investors and businesses, and how do we engage with them? So look what that balance is. You want to look at what are the landing pages on your website. In other words, people often think that visitors are going to come in through the front door onto your homepage. Actually, probably only a fraction of them will. If you've got an excellent website with good keyword strategy and search engine optimization, you're going to find that people are landing on all kinds of pages in your website. Some of them are really good, strong places for them to start, and some of them aren't. So we really want to think about building up the content on the pages that you think are the strong ones, the important ones, the ones that should be doors into your website, and see what you can do in order to build those up. You also want to look at the average time on site. If people come to your site and leave within a few seconds, then they got there by accident and they are not the leads that you're looking for. So average time on site means that they're spending enough time to read the content, engage with the content, engage with your tools if you've got them there, navigate to different pages within there, because probably you don't have everything on one page, and move through in that way. And I don't have this on the list here, but you also want to look at what your exit pages are. Ideally, your exit pages will be something like contact us form, or about our team is another good one, or register here, or something like that. If they're leaving primarily off your homepage or across other pages that you don't feel like are the good ones, the ones that have driven them to some kind of additional action, like contacting you, emailing you, calling you, understanding, exploring further on the opportunities for investment, then we need to rethink what that looks like. You also want to look at bounce rate versus exit rate. You want to usually get your bounce rate relatively low so they don't just land on a page and leave. Are they spending time on the website? Is it driving them to other pages within your website? Those are all really important things to look at. And then you want to think about what the conversion rate is. If you're doing any kind of Google AdWords, or if you've set up any kind of conversion strategies so that they fill out a form, for example, or sign up for something, or contact you with a contact form, or click on an email, then that's something you can be looking at. Now that's Google Analytics. Now every website has the opportunity to be tracked on Google Analytics, and you should be at very least asking for reports and asking, if possible, to log on with someone and have them show you around if that is not your job. Now there are other kinds of analytics, and we have built into all of our data tools, for example, on Zoom Prospector, we have economic development analytics. So you should be able to see what are the top communities in your region being searched, what are the top properties being viewed, what reports are people downloading, consumer spending, business, demographics, wage, talent, labor force. Those are some of the things you want to look at, partly because it tells you a lot about the interest in your area, certainly, but also because it's for strategic reasons important. Maybe a keyword people are looking at in your economic development property database is warehouses, and you don't have any warehouses. People keep searching for warehouses. Well, maybe that's something you want to think about going forward in the next few years, about building that capacity. Finally, the last element of analytics that we offer, I actually think is one of the most important ones, and that's what we call lead gen ID. And we use reverse IP lookup to show the economic development organizations we work with what companies are searching their website. Now, this is where we have the numbers game. Quality is important, quantity is important, but quality is what trumps everything. So if you have relatively low traffic, but you're getting some really clear interest from companies that are looking to invest, that are returning over and over again, that is really critical. And that's telling you something very important about your area, and it gives you the ability to proceed in that way. And I often tell our clients to use a kind of customer service strategy when they're making use of those analytics. So if you notice, let's say GIS planning has been on your website a lot, you won't know if it was Elisa or Russ or Jeff or Stevie, but you will know that the company has been continuously researching your area. And you can call the person you think you should speak to at GIS Planning and say, hey, I see that GIS Planning's been doing a lot of research about our region. I don't know if you're interested in relocating or getting more information. Have you found everything you need? Is there anything I can help you with? And that generally is a great way to open those conversations and get that process going. Now, this is another really critical part, strategic link placement. And strategic link placement across your website means a number of things. First of all, it means let's think about your audiences. And I've defined here in this box in the first column, these are probably the three most common kinds of target audiences for economic development websites. So you want your site selectors and your businesses making location decisions, your potential investors. That's the top left-hand column, really important. We need to think about what language those folks are going to be looking for on your website to make their journey through to find the information they need, but also what keywords they might use that you can use to draw them to those pages. So some examples might be property locator, sites and buildings database, site finder, site selector tool, and the one that I really love is location analysis tool. As much as I work for a company whose first, the first 3 letters are GIS, I do generally encourage people to stay away from calling it a GIS tool. Most people's eyes glaze over at the very thought of GIS, and they just assume that this is technical data geekery that they do not understand. So I would stay away from that. And then think about where are we putting this link. So you might want to put it at the top of the page. You probably also want to put it in the footer. Headers and footers are really important because those appear on every single page in your website. So that's prime real estate, to stick with the metaphor we're working with here. Maybe you have a site selection page. Maybe you are an economic development department within a city or a county, and you have your own economic development page. Well, all of those are places you want to put that. Now let's think about other audiences. Your business community can benefit, let's say, from the fantastic, robust data in something like Zoom Prospector. They can look at consumer spending, they can look at wage data, they can map their suppliers and their competitors and, supply chain, all kinds of really cool stuff. But these folks are never going to click on something called Property Locator unless they're actually looking for a property. And that's such a shame because there is fantastic data in there, especially for the small and medium-sized businesses in your region who can't afford to pay for consultants. What a shame if all that data is there and they don't actually know about it. So you can also have links to the right reports within your data tools, but use language that the business folks are going to look for. Business and location analysis, workforce and business data resource, business explorer. These are still links to, let's say, the Zoom Prospector tool, but you're linking them into another part of the tool. And I'll show you how to do that afterwards. So that's, again, thinking about what their journey is and how wonderful it would be to support them with all that data that's already in there. Now, where are you going to put those links? Well, maybe you have a page, your local chamber of commerce should be linking over to these pages in your tool. You maybe want to call it resources, economic development page, business and industry page, city, county doing business page. There's lots of different places that can go on your website. But we want to think about multiple roads to the same place. So all of these things are linking to, for example, these key data tools, but they're using different doors to get there. You're using the different hyperlinks to different parts of the tool. It's like a seeding strategy if you want to move on to a gardening metaphor. Boy, full of metaphors here today. Okay, so let's think finally about other community stakeholders, another kind of audience. They might not click on Property Locator, and they might not actually click on something like business data resource, but they are going to look for things maybe like community data mapping tool, community data resource, community open data tool. That's a really good one. Location data analysis. Again, you might be taking them to reports within the same tool, but you're using language that will appeal to them. You are now thinking about the journey of all your target audiences, and you're thinking about the language they're going to be looking for and where they're going to look for it. So other pages on your website, maybe on the city or the county website, if you're an economic development organization. Maybe there's a tourism website, even public works, for example, certainly within social media posts for any one of them. So you're really thinking as creatively as possible about getting links to content within your website and seeding them across as many different places as possible. I hope that makes sense. This is a really critical thing that will make a big difference to your website. Most people put one link and one and done, and they walk away. Check, we've done that. But that is not going to be an effective way to drive as much quality traffic as possible. So here's a great example. I love this one. So the state of Michigan basically has this microsite that we've designed for them. And they asked us to add another block to the website page, which when you get the slide deck, you can click over there to see what that looks like. And this basically, all of these buttons lead to Zoom Prospector. But what they've done is they've used the filtered search tool. I'm gonna take you over there so you can see what that actually looks like. So this is the microsite, and they have all this great content. And down here, they've got this. All of these tools, buttons are going to lead to Zoom Prospector, but what they've done is they've created a filter search in each case. So over here, this is opportunity zones. That button is going to lead to filtered searches for all properties within opportunity zones across the state. There's a lot of them. It's a big state, and there's a lot of properties available. And to do this, they opened all filters. They've got lots of custom property assets that they've asked us to add, so that's great. And they clicked on opportunity zone, and then they click search properties. And once you've done that, any kind of filtered search, they grab this share button. This is the superpower. And they copied that link. And that link is now a hyperlink that can go on the website, and it will always lead to the most up-to-date search results for whatever filter you've chosen. So if you go back to look at their other ones, redevelopment ready will lead to a filtered search of all the redevelopment ready sites and build ready sites, energy ready. So what you can see is they've already started to map out the journey for these 4 important property assets that they determined to be critical, and made sure there was content there and that they could deliver them to filtered searches within the tool. I just thought that was very, very clever. So again, there's lots of great ways to do this. This is another example here from Hernando County, now in Florida. There's a community data tab. Now, when you click on community data, all the same data from property search is available, but without the properties. And this is really powerful. So for your elected officials, for your hospital administrators, your downtown improvement districts, your, whatever, SBDCs, there's all sorts of great stuff in here. They determine what they're looking for. They chose their location, in this case, Hernando County, and we've got the community profile infographic. They clicked on share, that superpower over there, and then they clicked on the share link. And that will always bring people back to this analysis without the properties within the same tool. So if you understand what I'm saying, it allows you to kind of bring people to different places within the same tool. Here's another fantastic example. This is from Four Corners, New Mexico. And what they did is they're using the Compare Communities tab in Zoom Prospector. And anyone can go in there. You can compare any part of your region with as many other places across the country as you choose. But they said, people are probably going to be comparing Farmington with these other communities. We know that this is a common comparison. So they pre-built the report. It's still fully interactive. I could, if I wanted to, add a location or remove a location. You can do all kinds of analysis of hundreds and hundreds of variables for demographics, labor force, consumer expenditures. But having built this report, they clicked on the share button, they grabbed that hyperlink, and they built it into the website. So it's a pre-built report, and you can see that when you go over there. I thought that was very strategic and very well done. Another example here, if you've got businesses who are interested in mapping out suppliers, competitors, supply chain, this is within the community tab. This is for the Port of Los Angeles, which is the location we've chosen. We are now mapping out all of the businesses here, and you could turn this off and just choose a specific category or drill down. You could even name the businesses if you want to. Choose from pre-built clusters, NAICS code, revenue, number of employees. In this case, we're leaving them all on. It's not a massive territory over here. And they click on share and grab the hyperlink. And that will bring people always to that map of businesses in this area. So really thinking creatively about mapping that journey is so critical. And then where can you put those links? This is the next thing that I tell all of our clients is engage all of your community stakeholders. Show them how to help. How can they attract investment? How can they create jobs? How can they have a stake in making sure things work well in your region? So this is a little bit of homework for you. Not too complicated. Compile a list in other governments and administrative departments in your region, a list of contacts, human beings, people with names, first name, last name, email address. The next thing that you should do is compile a list of anyone in the media. These could be well-known bloggers. Don't just go for print, go for television, even radio, community, local, people who have an interest in seeing what is actually being done to attract investment and support businesses. The next thing, and bear with me here because this is going to sound a little strange, develop a list of university and college librarians in your service area, as well as departments in those colleges and universities that may be interested in accessing your data: geography, business, urban planning, political science, whatever those things, management. Then what I would do is write out an email tweaked a little bit to the interest of each of these three categories, and let them know that these data tools are on your website and that it could be relevant to them, and encourage them to link to places in the website that are of interest to them. That has a snowball effect. It will drive more potential investors, businesses, community stakeholders your way. And it also is a great way to improve that rapport, build that rapport with those other community organizations. So strategic linking is so critical to improve search engine optimization and drive high quality traffic to your website. You really want to encourage stakeholders to link back to your website as much as possible, because these are portals to get that information for decision making. So an example here of New York State, Empire State Development, using one of our microsites to house all the different data tools. This is what you want to think about. Help stakeholders understand why it's useful to them to link. So think about that. What is the why for them? It's additional content, supports local businesses, it's great for the realtors, it helps in the mission for a small business development center or downtown improvement district. Especially, for elected officials, let's think about why open data is useful for their citizens. It's a service they're providing. Great way to research for proposals, reports, speeches, PR. Journalists should know about your tool. As a former journalist, this was something I would for sure bookmark as I'm writing stories and I need to access robust, regularly updated data, for example, that they could use for their stories. Anytime they use it, maybe they'll take some of the maps or the charts and they will link back, hopefully. Tourism, health, school administrators, police and safety, public works, they can also benefit from having that open access data there. Let them know about it, encourage them to link to it. Same with colleges, libraries, universities. This is really an important way for them to build those links. Now, I know you're going to say, wait a second, I'm not interested in librarians. I want to attract investors. This isn't even like a tertiary, target audience for me. But these librarians are driving, first of all, the business owners and entrepreneurs of tomorrow. This is a place where business incubators are happening, entrepreneurs are growing, and the more high quality traffic you drive to your site, the better your website will do overall in search rankings. It doesn't cost anything except a little bit of time. It does not hurt you in any way, and it will make a difference. Now, there are links that count that often are overlooked. So anything from a .gov site, all of the other municipal, county, government sites, and .edu. This is Google Gold. Anyone who can link to you from those sites, that is fantastic. If any news or feature items are being posted online by media organizations, you want to make sure they have the links in the stories, in the online version of the stories. If it's radio or video, television news of some kind, remember that Google can't index the content of an audio file or a video file. You need to have links in juicy keywords in the descriptions that accompany that, the name of the story, the text description underneath any video. People often neglect to really think that through, but that's where you want to have those keywords and those links. And if you do get a story written about your economic development organization, always follow up to see what the online story looks like, and don't be afraid to get in touch with them if they have not added those links. So let's make sure we get those three things done. It will make a difference. Okay, the other thing you can do, and I'm going to talk a little bit about content here, is to think about virtual tours. So interactive theme tours where you create content that turbocharges your digital marketing and brings qualified visitors back to your website for more info. So I'll show you a few different examples quickly. I've got a whole bunch here that are live examples from Grapevine, Texas. In this case, this is a site selection tour. This functions, basically these are very easy to build. You don't need any training, any graphic design. It's just like you answer the questions and you fill in the content. So a tour of your region, in this case, in South Carolina, this is NISA. You can see that you can walk through, there's images, videos, sound, text, hyperlinks, social media, and it walks people through what's going on in your area. These are two great examples from Abbotsford, British Columbia, and Santa Clarita Valley in California, where they're put together tours of their region to attract film and video production. So you can click through on those links later if you want to see what they look like. Here in Yuma, Arizona, they used a Zoom tour to profile a target industry. Now, again, there are links within here. There's always at the bottom, you want to have a contact us, get in touch with us, economic development folks who are happy to help you if you want to learn more about settling in this area. This is a classic sites and buildings tour from Ohio. In this case, they, in addition to walking through images, video, sound, text, hyperlinks, they also were integrating the Jobs Ohio GIS planning tools. You do not have to do that, but that is another option. So they really are interactive. Tourism, it's a great way to profile some of the great areas, resorts, restaurants, museums, parks and recreation, bike paths, whatever it is, and have that information in there. Again, images, video, text, and always those hyperlinks. This was a new one that we saw in 2021 with the Sumas floods in British Columbia. Both the British Columbia Economic Development Association and City of Abbotsford put together disaster response and info sharing tours. These were easy for them to build. They were able to quickly get, in a compelling way, information that people in their region needed and put it out there and drive them back to the websites that needed to be included there. Okay, a few words about using social media. So obviously we know social media is a powerful way to drive traffic to your website. In order to use them as effectively as possible, you want to make sure that your website links are in other places. A lot of people overlook Wikipedia. Wikipedia is free. Anyone can edit it. Now, you don't want to have conflict of interest issues. You want to put things that are not blatantly self-promotional, but probably your city or county maybe doesn't have an economy or economic development section in their entry. Wikipedia is always going to be one of the first things that come up. Anyone can set up an account. You can add some helpful, informative bullet point text, put links if there's data that would be useful to people. Again, you don't want anything self-promotional that will get flagged and removed, but for basic factual information, this is absolutely a fantastic place to make sure you've got some links. And all you need to do is create an account, and then you edit it, and it's very easy to get that information in there and make sure that you're doing it in a way that is responsible. Other places in social media, you want to make sure you have links in the descriptions, in the bios for different places. Put your website in there. Think about the hashtags you want to use so that you can drive people back to them. This is a great one from Jobs Ohio. Of course, they just had this recent huge success for the state of Ohio with Intel committing to investment in the state, and that's something, so they adjusted their banner up here to promote that. Visit the website, and then thinking about the keywords that should be there so you can drive people back to the website in that way. All of that really does make a difference. Again, as I said before, if you are using YouTube, and Google loves Google, YouTube is Google, so this is something I would think about. If you're posting video, which is a great way to engage people, put links and descriptions in the description box for each video because Google cannot otherwise access them. If you have interactive data tools, you must, if you're using them for marketing, you want them to have shareable links because you want to bring prospects back to your website. Otherwise, it's what we call vampire creative. You've done something creative, but it's dead. It's not going anywhere. Bring them back to the website. Share those links. Here's an example using that superpower share button from SC Power Team. On the intelligence components, you can share directly from there. As an example from Edmonton in Alberta, Canada. An example from one of our international clients in the UK, where you can share specific properties, of course. An example from this country of Switzerland also is they wanted to share, they added a data layer for market price for commercial building land. This is something that we can share as well. Beautiful, compelling images that bring people back to your website. Now, these data tools are an inexhaustible source of content. We just added the interactive 3D rendering tool. Every property has it automatically. You just click on it on the map tools on the bottom. You can customize, design, and then save and share. These are beautiful and they help your prospects picture their investment. So it's really useful. You can see in this case, Focus Central Pennsylvania has created a rendering and is sharing it online to help people picture what things might look like there. Local data can be added. Of course, this is part of the content you can share. In this case, we're mapping data centers in Miami-Dade County. That's easy to do. We can, if you have those laters, we can add them on. Detroit Regional Partnership, in this case, using the virtual tours to link to a specific property report within their website. This is from the city of Regina in Canada, and you can see that there's other layers here. This is important content for them, words, heritage that they've chosen to profile, and that can be easily shared as well, of course. Example of a social post from Pasadena Economic Development Corporation in Texas. So they're mapping different businesses, and you can see from their snapshot here of the infographic that they're sharing us. Again, look at the link up there, driving people back to the website. City of Ottawa, this is great content, consumer expenditures, food purchase from restaurants. Did you know? Great for an email newsletter, for a email campaign, for a social media post, brings people back to the website. Reach in California is promoting the use of their Zoom Prospector tool, Interactive Tools, and using that again as social content. Again, the link is over there. You're driving people back. This is all traffic sources. North Florida Economic Development Partnership, they are looking at, in this case, solar farm. They want to be able to map those things. You can visit their Zoom Prospector tool and see what that actually looks like on the website. And here's an example from Texas City where you can see that they are promoting their property database, again, Zoom Prospector, and this is something that's going on LinkedIn and is driving people back to the website all the time. So a few words as I bring us to the end here. Determine your resources for social. If you are a small team or a one-person organization, then limit yourself to 10, 15 minutes a day. If you have to choose just one social media network, I always suggest choosing LinkedIn. You know, you want to fish where the fish are. People are not posting pictures of their lunch. This is where investors are. This is where your businesses are. Take advantage of organizational profile pages and the personal pages for key staff. Every post should ideally have a URL back to key website pages. Every post that is trying to drive traffic needs that link. Look through your website for great content. Build 3D renderings. Look for virtual tours. Create tours. Good online data tools should be a key part of your marketing toolkit. And then set up a weekly or a monthly calendar, and you can schedule those posts ahead of time. And then use your analytics to determine the ROI. How many people clicked back? Who were they? What are they looking at? How often did they come? And consider sponsoring posts. It can get expensive on LinkedIn, but it can be very useful if you know the companies. They can be very nuanced targeting as a way to draw traffic. I'm actually going to, because we're coming to the end here, I'm not going to spend time showing that video. This is just showing well, I could do it just as I'm explaining what it is. This is just how Detroit Regional Partnership used screen capture video from their virtual tour and embedded it into the LinkedIn post that they were trying to do. This is really attention getting as you're scrolling through LinkedIn, easy to do. Some other examples are virtual tours that you can click through, or places that you can get that information from that takes you directly into some client examples. And that brings us to questions here. I do see a couple of questions in there. If you have any others, you can let me know. Oh, I see someone says that they've lost sound. Hopefully that came back for you. I believe that our sound is working fine. One of my colleagues just confirmed that they were able to explain that. Scott asks if there's a white paper that outlines the sources for the data used for their tools. There is not a single white paper, but I'm very happy to explain all of that. We use Applied Geographic Solutions, which goes to the same sources that other organizations and vendors do, such as Esri, for example. So you'll go to the same public-private sources. Info Group USA, now known as Data Axle, gives us our business data every single day. We draw from that as a live feed that is updated daily. And then we have a lot of other public sources where we can get that data. If you're looking for information about property data, we have a variety of different solutions, including MLS services. We work with lots of different companies, including Resimplify. We will help you find the best solution for your particular region or country, wherever you happen to be. Now, I realize I've taken you a few minutes past the half an hour that I originally promised. I want to respect your time. I thank you so much for the work that you do for your community. If you have any other information or questions for me, someone has asked me, will this recording be shared or available after today? Absolutely. I'm going to render the video as soon as I finish speaking with you here. You will all have a link in your inbox by tomorrow morning at the latest. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions you might have. Thank you for the work you do in your communities. You benefit all of us. We appreciate you. Be well, stay safe, and have a great day. Bye-bye.